Hey PJs, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing some store-bought slime reviews. I haven't done these in a very long time now. It's really just because I haven't seen a lot of new slimes out in stores like where I live. I live in a pretty small city, so it's not like I get like a lot of things. Like we're literally just about to get Target. So, small place. But I decided to do this because the first two slimes you can see my mom actually purchased for me for this review. So if you want to thank her, you are more than welcome to down in the comments. The first slime that she got me is this Whipped Bingsu Cuties, like a DIY slime. I love the packaging. It's a cute, like, unicorn cat with an ear missing. I don't know, but I'm not judging it. It looks cute. And obviously, like I said, it's DIY, so it does come with multiple components. What I did notice about this one, and of course the next one, since they're almost the same thing, is that there's a lot of plastic to it. I'm not, like, I don't know. Usually plastic doesn't bother me too much, but this one seemed so excessive. Like at the very end of the video, if you stick around, you'll see the huge trash pile that these two slimes make up, and it's pretty bad. So this slime does come with a little collectibles charm thing that you can participate in, and there's a lot of different charms that can actually come in this. And I got a cute little like cake one here in the butter section, which is really pretty. I'm not really like so into it that I would like go out of my way to collect all of them, but I do like the concept. So of course, since the slime is called Whipped Bingsu Cuties, it's gotta have some Bingsu like base to it. So this is the first color. It's a bright, almost neon orange color. And if you've ever tried Compound Kings, which is where this slime comes from, you'll know that their textures are pretty much all the same. They have like a weird kind of like wet feel to it, but it doesn't exactly leave wet residue on you. It is so interesting, kind of like slippery. They're slightly stretchy but not extremely stretchy. It's like really hard to play with these. They come out with some pretty cool looking slimes. They're really cute. Of course, like this one, I liked putting this one together, but at the same time they're just so hard to play with. And these three textures were all the same. They all have like some Bingsu beads in them, not like too much, and then there's also some glitter, and sadly the glitter is like that like big hexagon type of glitter. You can kind of see it and it always falls out. It was all over my hands at the end of this. It was a mess. So I just put those three slimes back in the container to make like a layered piece, and then there was these two bags of this like whipped part that you get to add to it. And I thought it was just going to be clay because that's usually what it is in these DIY types of slimes, but to my surprise, it was actually more like clay and maybe some instant snow. It definitely felt like there was instant snow in there, and I'm pretty sure there was because I even had some like residue on my hands like you'd find in most slimes that have instant snow in them. So I'm not really sure. It actually felt like a genuine slime that you could play with, and I was like so shook. I for a little bit thought it was actually like homemade, but that wouldn't exactly make any sense. But I'm not really sure what it is. It might just be clay and instant snow, but I really like the fact that it was something different than what I've seen in most store-bought slimes. Then obviously I just took it out of the container. It's got some pretty layers to it, and I like all the colors together. I've mentioned probably several times by now that I'm not a huge fan of warm colors like these, but it actually looked really pretty, and then mixing in that clay whipped whatever it is made it even more pretty. I loved seeing like the tie-dye part of it, and although it was extremely hard to mix together, it made the mixing process really long. Obviously I'm not going to show it all because if I did, then we would be here for a very long time, but it was an okay process. I mean, besides the fact that it was really hard to mix together, it was cool that it took a while to mix, and even now after like 10 plus minutes of trying to mix it together, there's still some distinct colors. I did really like the concept of this slime, and I think if they just made their textures less Compound King-y, you know, and they weren't slippery, and they, you know, obviously stretched a little better, I think this would be a really fun slime to play with. It's got a beautiful color to it. I love the whipped part of it. It makes it feel more homemade, and I love the resulting color and texture if it wasn't so stiff. If you haven't seen a store-bought slimes review from me before, you'll know that the ranking scale is a little bit different because they are store-bought, so they're usually not going to be as good quality as a homemade slime. So this one in particular is going to get 3 out of 5 pajamas because of all of the like a glitter fallout, and the fact that it's really, really hard to stretch. The second slime that she got for me is pretty close to the same thing. There are some differences, which I will talk about, but this one is obviously still a whipped Bingsu cutie slime, and it's just got a different top and some different colors. And you know what's really funny? I don't know if I'm extremely unlucky or extremely lucky. I got the same exact charm in this one. Like, out of all the charms that I showed you in the first part of like the first slime that I showed, whatever, there were like at least 30 different charms that I could have gotten, and I got the same exact one. I don't know how to feel about that, but like, I don't know, I find it funny, but I would have loved to see a different one. Like, what are the chances that I get the same one? So obviously one of the huge differences in the two slimes that I got is the colors. I love the color palette on this one a little more, but obviously I'm biased. I do like cold, cooler colors. And what's really awesome about this one is this one doesn't have that hexagon glitter that like fell everywhere in the last one. I was so happy when I saw that it didn't have it in this one. Oh, it was amazing. This one also has more Bingsu beads in it, which you might be able to tell, so it's a little crunchier, and I actually found these to be a slight amount more stretchy, which is good. And that's like something about store-bought slimes that seems to be a mystery to almost everybody. Like, I can rate these and you guys could be like, oh, I'm gonna avoid those, or you guys could try them out for yourselves and they could be amazing. They could be like super stretchy and not have any residue or anything. Like, store-bought slimes are always so mysterious because you don't know if you're gonna get a good one or a bad one. I remember I watched a slime reviewer review those like Play-Doh Floam slimes, and I wanted to get one myself because they looked amazing, and the one I got was so stiff I couldn't even begin to stretch it. But the review that I watched, hers was perfect, and I was like, that's not fair, but like, I don't know. Store-bought slimes are so interesting. Like the last slime, I did put this one together in layers with the whipped slime on top like a swirl, and while I was doing this, I was thinking, you know, maybe I should like layer this one, like where I put like one of the colored bases at the bottom and then a whipped piece, and then one of the another color, and then the second whipped piece, and then the third color to make it more layered, which I feel like maybe that's how it was supposed to go. But by the time I had that genius thought, I had already put two of the colors together, and I didn't know if they were going to separate or if I was just going to like make a mess or whatever, so I just decided to put it together the same way as I did before, so I'm sorry that it looks a little boring. And I highly doubt Compound Kings watches any videos with their slimes in them, but if they do, they should really sell this white one like on its own, because it would be the perfect slime, like as close to handmade as you could possibly get. And for those of you that can't get, you know, like homemade slimes or whatever you want to call them, because they are getting kind of expensive, which isn't their fault, like everything's getting so expensive, but like obviously these are a cheaper option for people that like just want to try it out or whatever. That white slime would be absolutely perfect for it, because I really couldn't tell the difference between a store-bought slime and a handmade slime with that one. Like I mentioned, the bases for this one were stretchier than the last one, so mixing it was a little faster and a little more enjoyable, at least for me, and it doesn't have that glitter fallout, and I personally think that the colors look prettier in this one, so like this one has to be my favorite out of the two. And like I'm saying, if these were just a little stretchier, or if maybe I had glycerin on me, it would just be a better experience, but if they were stretchier from the start, they would be perfect. But for now, it gets 4 out of 5 pajamas. And last for this review is an Elmer's Goo slime. This is Cotton Candy Fizz, and Elmer's Goo seems to be like the best choice usually. I've had some pretty bad ones, but I've also had some really good ones from them. So if you ever want to try them, I would definitely try them, but don't do what I did. This was the last one on the shelf, and I didn't even think about it. I know that a lot of stores, like mine isn't the only one, a lot of stores seem to have the problem where people will open the slime, you know, and like touch it and whatever, and I didn't even think about it until I got home and open this one and it was already opened, so I was kind of disgusted out by that. But for the review, I got through it, but I felt icky. I also don't know if it was because it was already pre-opened, but this one was so stiff. Like what you're seeing here, I'm using every possible strength that I have in my body, and I'm not a weak person. I'm not like a strong person, but I'm not a weak person either, okay? And oh my gosh, it was so bad. It also didn't help the fact that this slime was also wet. I don't know, I think it had some instant snow in it because it seemed like it had those kind of like particles in it, so it wasn't just a regular snow fizz slime. But it was just so hard to stretch, and I didn't know what to do with this one. It was way too hard, obviously, to stretch. I couldn't really poke it. I couldn't get any bubble pops out of it. I couldn't inflate it. Like, it was just kind of something that I could just, like, throw like a bouncy ball. This, like, swirl that you could see here was my best attempt, and it took way too long to get it to that point. I don't know what happened to this one, but at least for me, it was a terrible experience. I was so excited to try this one because I hadn't tried a snow fizz from them before, and most of their slimes are promising, but this one was so terrible. I mean, you can still try it if you want. It's a pretty slime, it's an interesting texture, and it might be better for you, but for me, this one was not good. It does say it's scented, so I would assume it's supposed to be cotton candy scented. It just smells like extremely sweet with a hint of plastic, which I would assume is from the snow fizz, and that's about it. There's not too much interesting things I can say, but it was bad. It's not completely unplayable though, so I'm gonna give this one 2 out of 5 pajamas. And with that, that is the end of this review, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. I've gotten quite a few requests for more store-bought slime reviews, and I know I don't do them too often, but this is kind of why. Like, the 3 slimes that I tried weren't very good. It's always a toss-up, and I feel like when I get slimes like this one, like the first 2 weren't super bad, and I know I can fix them up, but the second, or I guess the third one, since it was open, it was stiff, it was just a terrible experience. I feel like it was a waste of money. I don't know, but I really hoped it helped you guys if you thought about trying these. Now I am signing off, and I will see you guys in the next one, and I really hope you enjoy this huge amount of plastic that came from 2 slimes.